Hey, what up? So let's talk about this Charlotte Flair, Peyton Royce and Lacey Evans thing. So we start the show. Well, one of the starts of the show is Lacey Evans and Ric Flair coming into the arena, and Lacey Evans is hugged up with Nate, and she wants to hear more stories about the Four Horsemen and all this type of stuff. And I believe it was Charlie with the beautiful lips who asked her, hey, what is going on with Lacey Evans and Ric Flair? And Lacey Evans told her basically that Ric Flair is the greatest ever, and she's just trying to learn from him. And that was pretty much it at first. And you know what? It was something really strange. So, despite how she looks, Lacey Evans is actually only 30 years old. She was born in 1990. That is insane. She looks 46. I think it's got to be the makeup and everything, and probably, the military life. But she looks so much older than she really is. So then the first match is Charlotte Flair versus Peyton Royce, and Peyton Royce actually attacked Charlotte during her introductions, so they really didn't get a proper introduction. Peyton Royce put in some pretty good work here. Some good facial expressions. Charlotte was Charlotte, of course. Ric Flair interrupted the match coming down to ringside, introducing Lacey Evans wearing his robe, and I was like, oh goodness, oh goodness. Now she's clearly dressed underneath, but just imagine if she wasn't. That would have been so much better. That would have taken us to the next level. We could have gotten more tears out of it if she hadn't been wearing much under the robe. But that's like some Attitude Era stuff, though. That's like something she probably could have got away with in 2002. Lacey Evans with some pasties under, Ric Flair's robe. That would have been great. It was equal. This was, just as effective. It was fine. So Charlotte wins the match with the figure eight, and then she refused to let it really go. And basically, it was just attempting to make a statement on Peyton Royce. So after the match, Charlotte starts cutting this promo saying, that she's been accused of living off her father and trying to make it off her last name, but she's been fighting her entire life to get out of Ric Flair's shadow, and now Lacey Evans is trying to her name to make a name for herself. And she's saying like, hey, you can hang out with my dad, you can do all this stuff, you can wear the robes, but you can never wear my crown. So I was like, okay, that's a nice little line there. Obviously it was fed to her, it's not natural, but whatever. So what we get from there is Lacey Evans on Twitter saying that she doesn't want to wear her crown. She's coming after her last name. And I was like, ah. All right, so this continues to be. They toned it down substantially, but I am enjoying it. What I didn't like here was the treatment of Peyton Royce. Peyton Royce was an afterthought. Peyton Royce and Lacey Evans are supposed to be partners, and Lacey Evans just basically let Peyton Royce lose. Like, I don't get that. Like, why couldn't Peyton Royce win this match? It wouldn't have counted much for anything anyway, and it wouldn't have been too bad. But why couldn't Peyton Royce win the match? That's what I want to know. Peyton Royce could have just won this match and could have said, hey, we both beat Charlotte. We deserve a tag team championship match. And, maybe did the tag team championship match. So that would have been interesting. But Peyton Royce lost. So now we're 50-50 booking again. So instead of like the whole Lacey Evans' mind games are really working, it's like, okay, well, they worked last week, but only because Rick got physically involved. And now they're not really. So it's like the mind games aren't working. So why are we doing them? You know what I'm saying? So it's like the mind games should work. She should be distracted by this hot young woman trying to hook up with her dad, but she's kind of not at the same time. And when she is, if she can still win, even when she's distracted, I mean by this is like Peyton Royce didn't need to pin Charlotte. She really didn't. Like, why when, Lacey came out in Rick's robe, it didn't send Charlotte into a rage and she ran down the ramp to try to beat up Lacey Evans, and then Lacey Evans scurried away, and you just see Charlotte chasing Lacey through the back or whatever and chasing her out of the building or something like that, and then she gets counted out and Peyton Royce wins. That could have been a lot more interesting than what we got, which is, Charlotte looking up at the ramp every couple of seconds while trying to wrestle the same match, and Peyton Royce looking completely ineffectual because she can't even beat Charlotte half distracted. Like, that's absolutely ridiculous. Now, and then furthermore, not only could Peyton Royce not beat a half distracted Charlotte, but you also had Lacey Evans out there, and then Asuka didn't come out there. Like, Asuka is Charlotte's tag team partner and just basically left her to the wolves. Charlotte gets attacked before the match. Lacey Evans comes down there to distract. Asuka doesn't come out there and help at all. Like, WWE really, really is not doing themselves any favors with not linking up stories in this show. It is a simple situation to make people look likable. Like, it's very simple. If your friends are getting beaten up or being distracted, you should come out there and do something about it. It's a simple story. They're tag team champions. It's not like, and these people, Lacey Evans and Peyton Royce, want the tag team titles. So it should be simple as pie that, Lacey Evans is out there being a distraction, so Asuka should come out there and run her off. And then, the two of them leave, Peyton Royce and Lacey Evans, they run off or whatever, and therefore they aren't there to interfere when Asuka is fighting Alexa Bliss later. And then you don't need Charlotte to come down to the ring to help Asuka because it's a one-on-one match. So this idea that we're just booking Charlotte to be super strong, where she can beat people half distracted, like the mind games don't work on Charlotte. So it's like, that's so weird. But it takes me into this whole thing that took place the previous week, where Charlotte was accused of being a little too strong. But I made a video about this, but I didn't put it out because I felt like it was a little bit repetitive. But also at the same time, I was kind of like, I believe I just did a video on Charlotte not too long ago. But in light of this booking on Raw, what I want to do is I want to take that audio and I'm going to put it here. I'm going to put it in this video. And I know that it's not going to, hopefully it won't contradict it too much, because I still believe that stars should be treated like stars and that Charlotte as a star should win the match most of the time. But this is a certain situation where she could have taken a loss and it wouldn't have mattered, because there's creative ways to do losing. You didn't just have to get pinned in the middle of the ring. She could have, like I said, got counted out, could have gotten disqualified. She could have gotten disqualified because Asuka came out there and helped her. It could have been anything. But they have been booking Charlotte a little strong. But I do want to put that audio out there because I did take the time to make it. So the next, when my voice seems to change a little bit, you'll know that I edited this video to extend the Charlotte portion of it. To talk about the Charlotte controversy from last week, which would be the week of the 12th. And so let's get right into that now. This is Mongo Slade, and today we got to talk about stars being treated like stars. There is no such thing as equality. It is a false god. But more importantly, we're going to talk about this in the context of Charlotte catching some heat on Twitter. Okay, I'm going to tie this together. You gotta hang with me. Okay, so apparently Daily DDT wrote some type of article, some Mark site wrote some article that says Charlotte Flair catches a lot of heat for how WWE books her. Charlotte sees this because I guess she was vanity searching her name, which is not something you should supposed to do if you're an adult. But she says, I should just scroll and block this garbage, but words matter, so I will take a few moments to educate you, since both a human and I would assume an editor allowed this bullshit to stay on Al Gore's internet. He said, I have taken time off 3 times while on the main roster. First time, my dad was sick. Second time was a 6-week injury that was followed up by 18 months of staring at the lights to help make a new star. Third time was now. What exactly is it that I'm avoiding? I keep looking for the article where you trash one of the male champions for taking time off and being inserted back into the title picture. I didn't find one. Shocking. I wonder why. I am in the title picture and I always will be in the title picture. It's one of those unfortunate side effects of excelling at something you wouldn't understand. So, she's correct. Okay, she's correct, but I didn't like the whole idea of trying to make it because I'm a woman, you guys are picking on me. Because they don't. They pick on Goldberg too. But the thing is, stars get treated like stars. Okay? This is something that AEW fans and the Mark sites and all these type of people don't seem to understand. On AEW Dynamite, which is, I'm recording after the AEW Dynamite, there were 2 different instances, maybe 3, where Marco Stunt was being treated like a legitimate competitor in a match with FTR. Danny Limelight and Varsity Blondes were being treated as serious contenders against Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers, right? You saw almost the entire AEW side of the internet start to jump up and down and say they're trying to give Danny Limelight some shine. They're trying to give, Marco Stunt an opportunity to prove that he belongs and yada, yada, yada. And they don't understand that stars need to be treated like stars. You can't have fucking equality. Equality is a fucking myth. Okay? It's bullshit. Stars need to be treated like stars. If everybody's going 50-50 with everybody, then who the fuck are the stars? If it takes you 10 minutes to beat somebody with a losing record, how are you a star? The reason Charlotte can disappear and come back and be put in a title picture is because she's a fucking star. And yes, they even do it with the men too. Randy Orton has done it. Roman Reigns has done it. When you're not a star, that's kind of when you start getting the shaft. Okay, when you start getting, well, I came back from injury, but they're not going to put me in the title picture yet. Or maybe I came back from injury, they don't even have nothing for me to do. When you are a star, or somebody that they view as a star, they always have something for you to do. You will always go over, because that's how stars are built. You should go over as quickly as possible in order to establish your dominance, which is another thing these people have problems with. They value equality and they are averse to dominance, right? They are averse to somebody being perceived as being so much better than somebody else. And it's a personal thing, I guess. It has to come from their education or how they were trained in looking at these types of things. But in sports, if you establish dominance, you will become a star. And once you become a star, you get treated like a star. And it's been the same in boxing. It's the same in mixed martial arts. It's the same in everything. When you show that you can make money, that you can generate interest, you can generate money, you can generate intrigue into the product, you're a dynamic performer, why in the world would you spend so much time either doing nothing, quote unquote, moving out of the way, which makes no fucking sense. Because if you're a star, you can't get out of the way. That means everything that you do is going to be important. Even if it's not in the very, very, very top of the card, everything you do is going to avert attention away from what other people are doing. But this idea that we need to 50-50 book everything, and it's kind of strange, right? Because I had really made a video. I didn't put it out yet, but I made it like several weeks ago about Jim Ross on his podcast was talking about WWE doesn't have anybody hot. They don't have any stars because they 50-50 book everybody. And I was going to have a conversation about that because I was saying, like, really that problem exists in AEW. It doesn't really exist in WWE, not to that degree. Not, there is some 50-50 booking that is kind of silly. I mentioned it where it talked about like Keith Lee and Sheamus and, guys going 50-50 with smaller dudes and all that kind of stuff. There is some of it, but AEW is wroth with this shit. I'm talking like 15, 20-minute matches between two guys who shouldn't be in the ring 6 minutes. This idea that, everybody should get treated the same is bullshit. You need to have people separate. People need to be able to break apart. Charlotte has the ability to make other people, right? Now, some people have said that Charlotte doesn't elevate anybody else. She doesn't make anybody else. And I have to say, you know, why do you think Becky Lynch is what she is? You know, Becky Lynch is what she is because of Charlotte. Sasha Banks got where she is because of Charlotte. Yeah, Sasha Banks had that great match in Brooklyn, but most of the audience didn't see those great matches in Brooklyn. They didn't give a shit, okay? Because most people didn't watch NXT. So you're talking about having the ability to help make other people by even, you know, bringing attention to them. Charlotte can do everything. As far as she can be a babyface, she can be a heel, she can talk. Now, there are people who can do these things better than her. And that's why I say she's like the female Randy Orton. Like, Randy is really, really good at a lot of shit, but he's not the best at anything, right? He's not the best at any one thing. He's just a high-level performer at a lot of different things. And that's kind of what Charlotte is. Like, Charlotte is really good at promos. She's good at, you know, she has great presentation. She has a great character. She knows who she is. She knows what she wants. She knows what to do. But there are better baby faces than her. There are people who cut better promos. There are people who have better personalities. Instead of complaining about, oh, they're over pushing Charlotte, she's overexposed, even though she was gone for 4 months and now she's just come back. That doesn't make any sense. And that just goes to show that a lot of these arguments are bullshit and they're not rooted in legitimacy, because she really just came back. But I forgot what I was going with that. But anyway, you have this situation where you have stars need to be treated like stars, right? But you can't, the reason why the argument should be, I'm back on track now. It took me a while. But the argument should be, why aren't we seeing more of the others, right? It shouldn't be that Charlotte shouldn't get pushed. Obviously, you push Charlotte. Obviously, you put Charlotte over when necessary. Obviously, you keep Charlotte in the mix. Obviously, you keep Randy Orton in the mix. You keep him at the top of the card. Obviously, you keep your stars looking like stars. The problem is, where is everyone else? That's the problem, okay? The problem isn't there should be one women's segment on the show and it goes to Charlotte. The problem should be, okay, there should be multiple women's segments and we should see other women treated like stars too. We should see Peyton Royce and Nikki Cross and, you know, Dana Brooke and Mandy Rose and Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. We should see more of them. They should get more story time potential, and they should have more story time for themselves. You know, Alexa Bliss found a way to break out on her own, so it's not just Charlotte. It's like, yeah, Charlotte is eclipsing Asuka. That's true. That's because Asuka's English is not that great. And to be quite honest, WWE sees Asuka as a workhorse, and workhorses will almost always be second fiddle to people who can do dynamic storylines. If you can cut a promo, you're always going to get more TV time than people who can just wrestle. I can wrestle good. It's not good enough. It's never been good enough. It's insane to me that people think that, oh, well, it worked for Chris Benoit. It's like, yeah, that's the only person it worked for. Everybody else has had to prove that they can cut promos and be a dynamic performer and do a lot of different things. Like Bret Hart and Chris Benoit are like the only two guys who really got over off of their ring work alone. Right? Everybody else has had to be larger than life, or at least project their personalities into the audience where people can see them and relate to them. You know, so this great worker thing is also a myth. But the idea is that these people, they are averse to dominance. They are averse to some people being better than others. And and that leads to that whole value equality. Everybody should be treated the same. Everybody should get opportunities. It's like, not everybody should get opportunities. Sorry. It's just not how it is. Now, you can say they haven't been given a chance to show what they got. And I will agree with that. I think we need to see more of Nikki Cross now that she's separated from Alexa Bliss to know what she can do. I'll agree with that. I'll agree that maybe we need to see some more of Peyton Royce. What can she really do? Okay, I can agree with that. But that ain't got nothing to do with Charlotte. Charlotte should still be where Charlotte is. Okay, Charlotte can't be removed from her position. You don't need to move Charlotte in order to build up these other women. It's a 3-hour show. You can find other time for other women. But that's a booking thing, right? But they want people to be 50-50 booked, where oh well, you need to lose a lot in order to make other people look like stars, or you should go out there and work 25-minute matches with nobodies because it's a showcase for the nobody. It's like, yeah, but it's diminishing the star. The star should look like a star all the time, you know? And unless that person is about to become a star, in which case it would make sense to go 20 to 30 minutes with them if they have a future. But if there's somebody you're going to throw on Dark or main event in 2 weeks, what the fuck are you giving a 45-minute match for, a 30-minute match for? What's the point? And while we're on the subject, this came up during Raw, because you had this conversation that was probably started by, I believe, a certain writer that works for Fox. And he was talking about when Adam Pearce said that Drew Gulak couldn't just announce himself for the Royal Rumble. And then they were like, but AJ Styles just did it, which was mentioned on screen, right? And then AJ Styles was like, I'm AJ Styles. Like, I'm a former WWE champion. What do you mean? Of course I can declare myself for the Royal Rumble. You're Drew Gulak. You can't do that. So again, stars get treated like stars. And people were upset by this. They were befuddled that Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke, people who've been featured somewhat prominently on Raw the last several weeks, can just declare to be in the Royal Rumble and other people have to work for it. It's like, yeah, that makes sense to me. It makes sense to me that you would focus on the people who are already there all the time. Drew Gulak was only on TV because some motherfuckers got the Rona. I mean, come on. I mean, are you going to really make legends and people who are going to be surprises qualify for the Royal Rumble because, oh my God, you have to play fair. Everyone has to play the same. Johnny, you have to let them play with your toys. Bullshit. Stars get treated differently. That's how the world works. If you're good at something, you're the best at something, you're a star, you make money, it makes sense for you to be there, you should get treated differently. So what? One day, hopefully you'll be a star too. And then you can get special treatment.
Yeah, shed light. I know what that's like.